Hi YouTube, how are you guys doing? So it's been a long time actually since I've released my last video, but I promise I'm going to get better in the future, and I am going to release a video about AI and automation, everything in regards to learning how to handle n8n, sometimes even make still, Airtable, Apify, everything in regards to LLMs and APIs on this channel. So please subscribe and like, and we are going to get right into today's session. So what we are going to cover today is actually quite exciting, because what we are going to do and build within n8n, we're going to build an n8n flow today, is a lead magnet generator, right? So the only thing that you would need for this is to have some kind of a database. We're going to use Airtable today. I'm going to link this in the description, and n8n obviously, and then also Apify, and you will find all the links later on in the description. Now, the only input that you would need for this are actually just a topic that you would want to the lead magnet be about, and then also have like a target audience and the purpose, right, that this lead magnet is going to serve. And what we are going to get out of this completely automated will be a file like this one. So I'm going to open this up, and as you can see, this is a quite beautiful PDF. It's an 18 pages document, and that's actually also one of the major challenges if you're working with LLMs, to create documents which are first of all styled beautifully and match your brand, right? And the other thing is also that to create a cohesive document of several pages is also not that easy. You can't just throw in a prompt and then expect something like ChatGPT to throw out a document like this, right? At least at the time of this recording. Now, but there is a specific technique that we are going to see today, and I'm going to show you how this works basically, right? And this is the document that we are going to get out of this. So the flow we are going to build will look like this at the end, and we are not going to cover each and every single node of this, but we are going to get the gist of this, and I am going to also share the templates in regards to the prompts, in regards to the JSON template for the n8n flow obviously, also, and everything else within my community, and I'm going to get to this in a second. So let's start building this together. So we are going to jump into an empty doc, and these are the four phases that we are going through, right? So we have the idea generation, then we have the actual content generation, then we have the formatting part, and then we have the attachment part, or the exporting part, where we are saving the actual document. So not just a link, but the actual document, the PDF, into Airtable, just as we have here, right? And so let's start doing this together. The first thing that we want to do is to have the idea generation part, right? So I'm going to just paste this in here, and we are going to quickly explain what we are doing here. So we are first of all setting up our Airtable as well, right? So we have these columns, not really complicated. We have a modified and created date. We have a status, which is quite important, and then we have the results field with the actual file, right? So I am going to take the same topic like last time, because this is going to save us a little time. I'm going to throw this in and just copy and paste this, and I'm going to also say from this option list, I want to show my expertise. So what's the purpose of building this lead magnet, right? And that's already it, right? I only have to input this data. Now, the important part, as I've mentioned, is that we put this to pending, because this is one of the checks that we are going to do within this node, right? So we are getting the ideas out of the Airtable table. And if you jump into this node, then you can see that this is actually the filter formula that we're using. So we're checking the status for pending statuses. Now, then we have an AI agent, right? So this is a native functionality of n8n itself, right? And if you want to learn more about this, I'm going to give you a little hint into my school community in a couple of minutes. And so if we jump into this, then you can see that this is quite an extensive prompt, and it's working quite well. And this is obviously where the magic is happening, right? We're using GPT 4.1 for this, and then we also have an output parser, so that we are also exporting the data from the AI agent into something manageable and readable. In this case, let's say JSON format, so that the subsequent flow is able to read this, right? Now, the next part is that we are actually going to generate the content itself, right? And this is going to look like this. This is where we have this phase. So we are basically passing on from the idea generator to another agent, which is the overview creator. And this is actually one of the most strategical parts and points of this whole flow, because we are not just throwing in some random idea and then hoping that ChatGPT or whatever LLM we are using will be able to generate the content just out of this, right? We are going step by step. So the first part and the first thing that we are doing is to actually create just the overview, right? So it's basically like an overview, like the chapter overview within a book, right? And you can go on with this technique as far as you like. You could basically create hundreds of pages by using the step-by-step approach, right? So When I open this up, then you can see that within my prompt, then you can see that I'm taking the data from the previous nodes, right? And I'm asking it to generate the audience and generate the pain points, goals, and everything. And as I've mentioned, you're going to get these prompts as well. And then I'm just creating the outline, right? So for each and every chapter that I want, or that the AI or the LLM thinks is going to be appropriate for this specific purpose, is going to be created by it itself, right? So we're just creating the outline. When we have the outline, this is actually a pretty important part, is that we split the chapters and we don't throw everything at once into the next AI agent, which is the actual chapter writer, right? So we're not just giving it one prompt and just then telling it, all right, now create the document with these chapters, but we are throwing in each and every chapter one by one, right? So we're opening up this, then you can see that we are taking the notes from before, and then we are basically telling it, all right, now write the content for this chapter. And then in the next run, actually, then is going to be the subsequent chapters, right? So we are basically not overloading the LLM, ChatGPT, or whatever we are using with this whole book, right? Or with this whole lead magnet that we want to create right now. All right, so after this, we are going to take care of the formatting part, right? And the formatting part is where this brand part comes in. So when we have this, I'm just going to connect this here, and then we're aggregating the whole content that the chapter writer has created, right? Because as I've mentioned, we are basically splitting the chapters here. Then it's going to create each and every chapter individually. And after it has finished doing that, and we also have attached a memory so that it knows what it wrote previously, right? Then it's going to be thrown into one single text again and one single document again, so that we can basically pass on the whole doc, right? Then we have an HTML converter, which is basically responsible for creating an HTML document out of the text that the AI agent before has created, right? So if we're opening up this, then you can see this is quite a short prompt, and we're just explaining it to convert this into HTML, right? Now, this is the part with the HTML templater, where we are throwing in an actual template that we have created before with another LLM, right? You can do this within the ChatGPT UI itself, right? Or whatever LLM you're using, and basically tell it what you want your document to look like, and then throw in the complete HTML template into the whole prompt, right? So all the styling, all the structure is already within here, and we are basically entering only the placeholders, right? So these are the ones that are going to be replaced after all by the agent itself, right? So we are throwing in the complete HTML template and then telling it, all right, this is the document, this is the visual style that I want to have and the structural style that I want to have the document to be. And then later on, it's going to be populated with all the content that we have created before, right? So we are telling it in the next prompt, this is the HTML file, which is converted into that HTML template we just gave you, right? And then we have the complete content that is going to be thrown in there, right? So then we have a little cleanup with a very short code snippet, just to make sure everything is nicely formatted. Then we have an HTML to PDF API call. And this might surprise you, but there is an actual Apify actor. And if you're not familiar with Apify, Apify is one of the tools that I'm using quite frequently. And if you want to scrape data, right, from any website or from any social media platform, then Apify is the way to go. However, they also have something which is an HTML to PDF converter, right, which is quite interesting. And the only thing that you would want to do is just to throw in the HTML string, and then it will convert this into an actual PDF, right? And this is quite convenient because they have an API, and this is exactly what we're doing here, right? So we have our API call, we have our credentials, then we have a header, and then finally we have the actual HTML string that we got from the previous nodes, right? And then we're already at the last part, and this is where we have to go a little more into the technical part, but it's still quite manageable. And as you can see, this is what it looks like, and we are basically getting the data out of Apify, right? We are catching it, or we are searching for it to get the correct document we have just created. Then we are extracting the storage URL, where the document actually has been saved by Apify. Then we are getting the actual binary file, and we are extracting from that binary file the document, and then we are sending it right into Airtable, into the attachment part. Right, so this is where we are going to end up, and this is where the document will be saved. All right, so let's also see how this works out. I'm going to run this whole flow again just to show you how and that it works, and we are going to check what it looks like afterwards. All right, and we are finally done. And let's take a look at what the output looks like. As you can see, we do have all the green check marks at the notes. I'm going to look into the executions because it felt like ages, and you can see that it did take 7 minutes. However, this is obviously justified because of the length of the content. I ran into an error before, by the way, because I forgot to top up my OpenAI API credits, right? This is where it ran into an error at this spot, at this subnode, and I recharged it, and then the whole flow went smoothly. Now let's take a look into the doc itself, and as you can see, this is what we just created together, right? It's been creating this document. I'm going to open this up, and as you can see, it's 17 pages again. I have to fill in my name. This is obviously something that we need to take care of within the prompt. Then we have some credits, and then we have the summary again, and this is definitely interesting. And by the way, the topic that we wanted to cover, and I'm going to close this in a second again, comparison of the top 5 most reliable LLMs for creation of long texts, right? And this is the title that it gave to the document, and divided this into different chapters. Again, introduction, the importance of reliable LLMs for long-term content creation, and then we have the complete text, and then it jumps into several aspects. Now, obviously, you can go on tweaking this, right, so that it adjusts to your tone of voice, to your brand guide, obviously, right, in every regard. And but the whole concept, or the whole idea, is actually to show you how this works strategically, right? Because if you give it an overview, and then from that overview you can even go on by, for instance, telling it in the next phase, right? In the next step, you don't have to let it write the chapter immediately, right? But you can write 5 bullets, for instance. So give me the 5 bullets for this overview, and then within each bullet, you're going to throw in, or you are going to throw in each bullet into the next agent, which is going to be responsible to writing out just this one bullet, right? And then you have like a like an inverted funnel, right, where you would just spread out, and then you can go on with this technique to creating really, really long documents, which are of high quality, right? And where we also know that the agent itself, and you can see this here within our simple memory node, knows what it wrote before, right? Because it does have the context of what it wrote before, so it's not going to repeat itself, right? Now, if you want to learn how you can build these flows, or if you want to have the assets to these flows, then first of all, I'd be very grateful if you subscribe to this channel, and also obviously liked and shared this video. But in addition to this, I am also building a script AI school, right? This is what I'm building right now, and this is still free at the time of this recording, right? But it will be paid in the future. And this is also where you are going to get all the assets, you know, like the n8n flows. We just went through all the promptings, right? And this is where you will be able to get all of this. So as I've mentioned, this is still free, and you can jump in now, and it will stay free for you, obviously, if you jump into this community right now. And we will cover everything here, what you need to, you know, automate all the processes if you're working as an employee in an operational environment, right? And you want to automate all these processes using a tool like n8n, a no-code, low-code tool like n8n, or even make, if you want to build your own AI agents, right? If you are the owner of an agency yourself and you want to automate your processes, or you want to know how you can build these things and offer these to your clients, then you will learn this here. We were going to cover RAG in it, and we are going to cover scrapers, Airtable, everything else in regards to databases, vector databases, prompting, obviously, and everything else that you can imagine. And we are going to get quite technical with this as well, sooner or later. So you will, even as a complete beginner, sooner or later get into an advanced stage, right, where you will be able and will be actually able to sell this, right? And you will be also able to build these processes yourself and become an expert yourself in these topics. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for your attention, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.